Well, good morning. It's very nice to be back here at the EKO office. I love this place. I mean, this is fantastic. And of course, it's very nice to see Mr. Tom. You and I actually are both Vancouverites. Vancouver was my hometown for many, many years. And in fact, my family still lives in North Falls Creek. So all the pictures you're showing, fantastic. So it brings back really good memories. But Mr. Tom actually mentioned one thing, which I totally agree, couldn't agree more, is that when we're planning the waterfront or doing any planning, leave it messy. And you can see that's the premise of my talk today. It's basically small is beautiful, and unplanned can be wonderful. And for the next 10 minutes, I'll talk a little bit about why I think it's better to have actions. They are unplanned. Like, as urban planners and designers, we have this idea that, we can actually change the world into a better place with what we do. But perhaps sometimes by trying too hard, we actually take away a lot of things, from the place, because we're changing it to the extent that it's no longer what it is. We impose our own values into design and into the planning. But at the end of the day, we actually change it to the extent that it's no longer reflecting what the people really want. So if you look at the picture there on your left side, essentially that's the Chim Sa Tsui waterfront, all right, Avenue of Stars. You can see it. It's well used. Tourists like to go there and look at Victoria Harbour. And of course, you have your standard paving, you have your standard railing, you have your standard width. And, okay, so, I'll leave it to you to decide whether you consider it to be successful or not. On this side of the screen, it is actually not a park, not a waterfront promenade, but it's one of Hong Kong's best-kept secrets. And what it is basically the Western District's cargo handling area. It's just a patch of concrete. But I'll show you later, like, there's one of the places that actually people want to go and actually use the space. There's nothing in there. There are no trees, there are no seats, all right? There are no paving, there are no railing, there's nothing. But this is one of those places that people just want to go and use the space. And why is it successful? Why do people actually want to use it? There are reasons for it. Okay, so I'll just throw some of my ideas in terms of what would make a successful waterfront. And I think some of these words actually, both Mr. Tom and KK have used before. Accessibility and connectivity. Like, you have to be able to get to that place. It has to be well connected to some extent, all right? Has to be diversified. It has to offer a range of activities where people can do something. It's not as if you plan that you have to sit here, or it's planned that you have to have trees here, or it's planned as if, you have to have very rigid activities. Sometimes diversity means that you can actually do anything you want in that space. Vibrancy, all right? Do people want to go there to use it? Flexibility. Is a space designed to allow for flexible use? And then spontaneity, all right? Spontaneity is the sense that, in fact, you do not plan it. It's allowed to be messy. It is allowed, to basically, people can do whatever they want. One of the best activities I've seen actually is right outside, this little building here, under the flyover, when in fact, they just have wood planks on the floor. Families, kids sit there, they look at performance, they lounge around. It's the perfect urban space for this sort of activities. It does not have to be planned. Activities can be very spontaneous. And that's what our waterfront really should be. So, accessibility. What does it mean? My definition is that it has to be multimodal, all right, which means you can walk here, you can run here, you can take your bike here, you can take the MTR here, and preferably, I don't encourage you to drive here, but in theory you could. Okay, so that makes it accessible. In the meantime, it also has to be well integrated with the existing infrastructure. And that means that, in fact, it is available to everyone who can get here easily. And it has to be universally accessible as well, right? So if you're slightly disabled and you're pushing a pram, you can get here very easily. And it also has to have seamless extension of the cityscape. Seamless in the sense that, in fact, you don't even notice. It's not as if that I have to make a special effort to get to the piece of waterfront. You don't have to. All right? Seamless in a sense, it is there. You just walk along here in this part of Kwun Tong, and all of a sudden it opens up and say, oh my God, you've got this fantastic waterfront in here. You've got all these things that I can come and visit. That's the seamlessness of the design, which I think is extremely important. You do not want to make a statement. You don't want to have people saying, hey, I have to get there, because that, to me, takes away from the spontaneity. And what about diversity? Diversity is one of those things you want to allow for a variety of activities to take place. Okay, you can have active and passive users. I always like the idea of doing yoga right in front, looking with the Victoria Harbour behind. I mean, that's so exciting. All right, you can have F&B, you can have cyclists, you can have pets. Do you realize in Hong Kong, in our public parks, pets are actually not allowed? I mean, for our friends, international friends, I mean, it is inconceivable, right? I mean, how could you not allow pets? You can't walk your dog in our parks. Well, I was told that, in fact, you put it on leash. Perhaps you can, but, even that is dubious. But in principle, no pets in our parks. Entertainment, impromptu performance. Isn't that what public spaces should be like, right? Allow things to just happen. But in Hong Kong, there are some public parks that actually have, like street performers, and they use microphones and speakers. And local residents actually complained about it. They said, look, they're making too much noises. We don't like the music. And he said, wow, how could you let that happen? What about urban farming? Can we do urban farming in our parks? Sure we can. Waterfront, why not? Waterfront urban farms. I think that's a great idea. Boating, sunbathing, all these are diversities of activities that we should all encourage. Vibrancy, don't need to say more. I mean, some of the examples here I've shown. I mean, fantastic spaces, underneath the flyover that you can actually do things, have activities, performance, very spontaneous. But it makes the place vibrant because people actually want to use it, people want to get there. And it's a true people's place. Okay. I love this slide. I want to spend 1 minute on this. Look at the top right-hand corner. This is our typical signboards before we get into the park. All right? It says there, no pets, no cyclists, no skateboarding, no drying clothes, no gambling, no littering. And the list goes on. Pretty soon they're going to add no visitors, no park users, whatever. See, when you leave the design of public spaces, including waterfront, to our park managers and park designers, what you end up is this. Basically, they have this mentality. We are there to create a space, but we really don't want people to use it. And we design it for people to use it. We have to put a whole list of restrictions so that basically they would find it uncomfortable to use it. But then they said, look, we have responsibilities. We're public responsibilities. We want to make sure that the space would be safe to use. And therefore, if you go to a waterfront, you see railings, right? And they have the talent to use some of the most ugly railings, in my opinion. Right? I mean, look at that. They said, wow, we have done some design, but my God. They totally take away, number one, from the experience of being in a waterfront. And more importantly, it's the fact that you create this barrier right? This barrier that people actually can go to the waterfront, dip their toes into it, and feel the water. In Hong Kong, a lot of our waterfront areas, actually we cannot get to the water. I think when Mr. Tom talked about having beaches in Victoria Harbour, such a great idea. But we've been trying to test that idea with our local population. In fact, I have a lot of people come out and say, we do not want to see a beach in Victoria Harbour. We have a lot of beaches in Hong Kong, tons of beaches, which is true. I mean, everywhere you go in Hong Kong, we have beaches. But we do not have a single piece of area with sand in Victoria Harbour they can use. Why not create it? So, this is what I'm talking about, the Western District cargo handling area. Just a patch of concrete, but actually people go there to look at the sunset, take pictures, go fishing, take wedding pictures, just sit there, right? It is totally unplanned. It's not designed as a piece of waterfront park, but it is used as a waterfront park, and people love it. And I think basically that's what spontaneity is all about. You know, we do not necessarily have to have urban planners, urban designers, our park planners, to design a space which is very specific for a particular use. We do not need that. Using Mr. Tom's word, keep it messy, keep it spontaneous, keep it unplanned. Thank you.